Hey guys, MCU Collector here with the next video in the Hasbro Marvel Legends series, Spider-Man Wave 13, the Demogoblin Build-A-Figure. Next up is the second GamerVerse figure from the Spider-Man PS4 video game. Here we have the Spider Armor Mark III. So this is Mark III, and I'm not sure what the Mark II or Mark I would have been. I think the black and steel one is probably Mark I. And now that I think about it, I have no idea what Mark II would be. But anyway, this is the Mark III. So we'll go right to it. You can see the same packaging as in that very first GameStop exclusive Spider-Man GamerVerse figure. We have this PS4 video game logo down at the bottom, the Marvel GamerVerse logo there, Build-A-Figure Demogoblin up at the top. Here on the side artwork, we have an image from the actual video game itself of that suit. Now, Jerry Wilson, he actually took a screenshot from the game. You know, he could capture images, and he used that for the side artwork. We have a look at the promo image of the figure, all the figures in the wave to build the Demogoblin. So we've already looked at the Velocity suit. We are on the Spider Armor Mark III, and then we move on to Superior Octopus, Vulture, White Rabbit, and Shang-Chi before we get to the Demogoblin Build-A-Figure. So there we go. Let's check out that bio. Spider Armor Mark III. Peter Parker upgrades his spider suit with advanced technology known as Spider Armor Mark III. That's extremely generic and doesn't say anything. So there is the figure. Let's get this thing out of the package. Okay, and here is the Spider Armor Mark III out of the package. And it's a pretty good figure. There's a couple of things that I'm a little iffy on, but overall, pretty good figure. Well, as we get closer up, I'll talk to you a little bit about what I'm iffy on. First, we'll take a look at this. So he comes with the Hobgoblin right leg. The Demogoblin right leg. It is the same exact piece that you'll see with a Hobgoblin and Green Goblin. I don't know what little paint fibers in there, but again, it's a Bucky cap leg with the pirate boots. We'll put that off to the side as we got our two legs to build Demogoblin. We will look at him at the end after we look at all the figures in the wave. He comes with a nifty little web accessory. So I lost it. So this one, I already know what it is, unlike the other one where I was stupid and didn't know what it was until after I had filmed the scene of showing it and then moved on to the next. I'm like, oh yeah, this is actually how it's supposed to be. So this cool little web accessory can actually cover a face, and I'll actually show you guys that, or you can do it to cover maybe a body part or something of that nature. So that's what this one is. So I know that ahead of time. So here is the figure. It is really cool. Again, some things I wish were a little bit better on it, but let's take it in a closer look so we can go over that. Okay, so this is actually interesting. So this one, unlike the Velocity suit, which was made specifically for the game, this particular suit is actually from the comics. It was actually first appeared in Amazing Spider-Man number 682 in 1999. So a little description of it. This Red Hood looking suit was created by Peter using the resources he had while working at Horizon Labs. The suit was built specifically to fight the Sinister Six, containing various ways to bring each member of the villain squad down, from being electro-proof to possessing a hearing device able to pick up the Chameleon's distinct heartbeat, which is interesting because a little bit later I'll be doing picture stuff with Chameleon. How about that? So pretty cool to actually see. Again, this is the Mark III. So the Mark II was the bulletproof suit. The Mark I is the black and chrome or black and silver suit. So this is the Mark III. So the sculpt of it is done quite nicely. There's a lot of sculpt work, a lot of line work and texturing throughout the figure. So like you see the red, it's actually got a texture to it. But that's where I was kind of a little iffy on it. So here on the chest and the torso, we have a nice shine to that red. Whereas on the arm, this gauntlet piece, flat. The shoulder pads, flat. The leg, lower leg, flat. Shiny, flat. Shiny, flat. Why they did that, I don't know. This little back piece right there is flat. The rest of the red is shiny, even the little spine portion there on the back of the figure. Usually on the back of the figure, we get no love from Hasbro. Here on the bottom of the legs, around the ankles and the shins, that is a flat. The feet, shiny. There's no texture to the feet. Those are all smooth, but shiny, flat, flat, shiny, flat, shiny, flat, shiny. I don't know why they did that. I wish they would have stuck with one look for it. I think it would have looked a lot better. Since it is an armored suit, typically you would see like a metallic color, so I think all the red should be shiny. Now the figure itself still looks very good. The sculpt is very good. but that is a big downfall for this figure. It's just not consistent in the red color throughout the figure, but I think it does look pretty awesome. Helmet looks cool. We got that sprocket look to the helmet. The paint is applied nicely. I don't see any problems with it. We get that nice blue for the lenses, the black around there. Shoulder pads are nice and soft, so that won't hinder articulation as we kind of look through that. We got, I think I guess these are the web shooters come out with the back. That black piece right there is actually shiny piece, where then his hands are pretty flat. We get a little bit of red covering the knuckles there on this side as well. And it looks like may have gotten messed up on this side compared to this side, because this side we just get kind of the red diamonds there, but here it looks like they kind of got scuffed. Maybe you punched somebody, broke some of that paint, whatever the case may be. The blue that they use is a very flat blue, and I don't have a problem with it because at least the blue is consistent throughout the shoulder, the arms, and then here on the belt piece, so I don't mind it. It looks pretty good. And then throughout the figure we get a little bit of red and black. So paint apps are all pretty done nicely. There's not a whole lot, so it would be pretty hard for them to mess that up. So let's zoom on out and take a look at the articulation now. Okay, so looking at the articulation of this guy, he can look... This one's actually really tricky to work that hinge on the ball. So he can look down somewhat. It's not a huge amount. He can look up quite a bit, so that works out really good. Then, of course, you get the full rotation there. There's tiny bit of pivot. The shoulder can go up this high, so it can go straight out. So you can see that shoulder pad goes right over the shoulder into the collar area there. You get a full rotation. There is the upper bicep swivel there. The shoulder pad does kind of get in the way, but it's not like you completely twist his arm around anyway. Double jointed elbow, which works out solid and gives you a good 90-degree bend there. Wrists both swivel and they hinge. No additional interchangeable hands or anything with this guy. Unfortunately, there is an ab crunch, so he can crunch down that much forward, so decent amount. He can go back a little bit. Again, it's an armor suit, so you would expect a little bit of limitations to it. Waist swivel there, and I just realized this belt piece is actually a separate piece. I thought that was glued down. It is not glued down. It is glued on the back, so it's not glued in the front, so a little jock flap there. I don't know what's going on with that. We can get legs that go out that far apart. He can kick forward that much, which is good. Can kick back actually a little bit. There is an upper thigh cut there. Double jointed knee, which works out great. There is no boot swivel of any kind, but you get an ankle pivot, and the way it's designed, you have these ankle pieces that come down covering the ankle a little bit, so there's a ball joint in there, so it's kind of tricky to work it. You get a swivel at that ball joint, and I can't think off the top of my head which figures have like this. There was a couple female figures I think that were like that. Gwenpool comes to mind, and I'm sure there's another one and I can't think of it right now. So the ankle pivot works really well, but then you just kind of have to turn that, and then the tricky thing is that ball could turn, so when you want to hinge it, you kind of have to watch out, make sure the ball's in the right place to be able to move that hinge, because you could turn it and then the hinge could just work out all kinds of wonky ways, like that. So be careful and mindful of that. I had a little bit of tricky times getting him to stand because of that, so it can be tricky in getting him to stay forward. Like right now, he doesn't want to work with me. So there's the articulation. Okay, so the spider effect piece, basically how it works is you can see that it fits right over another figure's head, and it shows that like he got webbed in his face, he's getting covered up. So that is pretty cool. You might be able to do it in certain other things. It's going to work much better for like a face, but if you wanted to put it on a different body part, you could do something like that. You could do it on an arm. Now Chameleon's arms are pretty thin, so maybe it doesn't work out the best for him. You just kind of have to do with it kind of how you would want, and depending on how you do it and configure it, maybe you can make some things work out really well in your favor. If you're doing it with to a weapon, depending on the angle, you could really get that to kind of work out. So that's how that works, and I think that's actually really cool that they have something like that wraps around the top of his head. So I like the way that looks. Now let's see some comparisons of this guy with the other GamerVerse figures. Okay, so now seeing the three of them side by side, there's a couple of things that are even more apparent with this figure. He's way too small in size. When you look at this one with the velocity suit, with the advanced suit, you can see the advanced suit almost really looks like the biggest one. And now, of course, scaling is going to be off because these are new sculpts. This one's not a new sculpt in any way, so they didn't bother with it. But you can see that these two figures are significantly smaller than the advanced suit. And then this spider armor suit is way smaller than the velocity suit. Both in height, just barely, but in size-wise of his body. So that's one of the unfortunate things. So this figure would be even better if it was bigger. Now, that's not to say that I'm disappointed in the figure. I still think it looks very good, but it could have been executed better. It could be a few things that I would change, but still a solid figure. Now, how many figures from the game we will get, who knows? Maybe we'll continue to see more, maybe one in every wave, or they do something. Who knows how it's going to work out? But I, for one, am glad that we're getting some cool things. And then it's always great when, you know, the figure actually comes from the comics, so you could double it up in that regard as well. Not really this one or that one. Well, technically, I guess that's in the comics now, but the Velocity suit is strictly video game, whereas this suit is in old comics. This one is a newer comic. I forget what the comic run was called. But there you have it. That is my review. You guys let me know down in the comments below what you think of the figure. Are you picking it up? Excited about these GamerVerse figures? I'm curious. Let me know in the comments below. If you guys liked the video, please hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. And as always, thank you for watching.